Good evening from Vietnam, David. Thanks a lot for spending your morning with me and the audience of our Inside Sharing show. Our shows means to feature our experts. So you are the spotlight of the conversation today. So everything's going to be about you, about different point in time in your life, and what leads to what you are doing now and why you're doing that. And so to kick off this program, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for spending your time joining. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me.
And David, you've been working around the world, right? You've been in Asia a lot, so you must have known that it is in our great honors for the audience if we can have you to share with us who you are first. Can you help us to do that kind of introduction?
Yeah, my name is David Zinger, and I'm Canadian. I come from the prairies of Canada. So the prairies are a flat land, and so I think what I've learned is we need to be on the level with everybody, even though we have hierarchies and organizations to organize work. We're all human. We're all on the same level with each other. My background is in counseling and educational psychology, and I taught for 25 years. But
Mm.
while also doing that, I was an employee assistance counselor for Seagram Distillery for, I think that was about 17 years. And so I
Mm.
became very interested in people and work and from a variety of perspectives along the way.
Mm.
Along with that, I have three children I love dearly, one in Brazil and two in Canada, and fascinated by work and how work unfolds and how we connect with it. And my special focus, I think, is what we as individuals can do around our own engagement and work and the benefits we have from work.
Mm.
I think too many times engagement has been seen by people working as, oh, the organization's just trying to, pardon the expression, suck more work out of me, as
Mm.
opposed to an authentic connection to work, others, and contributions.
Mm. David, I'm gonna get back to the works that you do at a later time of this conversation.
Sure.
Allow us to bring you to the point when you were at very, very young age also. Okay. So when I was very young, I wanted to become an astronaut. So I was fascinated with the people getting to the moon and jump in the astronaut suit, right? But then life came here came the reality. I was not able to do in that, so life took me to another direction. So you when you were young, what did you think about your future? What was the dream that you had in your mind back then, though?
I want to shift my answer just a little bit. Uh, we didn't have much when I was young, and we had red wooden steps on the house we lived in.
Mm.
We didn't have many toys, so my mom would give me a jam can with water and a
Mm.
paintbrush, and I would paint the red wooden steps. It was a profound lesson in permanence
Mm.
because the water would always dry.
Mm.
Um, and I think I learned from my mother the value of engaging in the moment. That the moment is so ephemeral, so impermanent, and yet can be, in essence, it's all we really do have.
Mm.
So, like every other child, I had different ideas about work and what was going on. But when you ask the question, instantly, I thought of those red wooden steps, and I haven't thought of them for a long time.
so so if the value of life that back then is to engage in the present moment, right? Then there's a lot of things that you could do in your career and leading you to enjoy the moment. Let's say you can be an artist, you can be a musician, you can be anything. So why did you choose to a career in psychology and clinical psychology, right? Why did you choose to learn that though?
I mean, very interested in people, interested in helping people, interested in learning about myself.
Mm.
Um, so psychology offered a brilliant avenue. I actually started off in commerce and business and just gravitated towards psychology, and it just became a passion. I was fascinated to read and to understand and to see so many different perspectives about people and what was going on. So that's what really drew me to it. And I was fortunate that I was involved in both counseling psychology. I'm a
Mm.
trained counselor and a counselor educator. I taught counseling psychology for 25 years, but also educational psychology. And I think those two are a beautiful blend.
Mm. So how did the by the time that you're teaching, you're also starting to emerge and to want to know more about engagement, how we engage at work in life. In what occasion that triggering you that curiosity of knowing more, researching more, and getting to a deeper level of knowledge for that though?
I have profound respect for academics and their research, and they always end up saying more research is required. But it's interesting to think critically about things. So to read an academic psychology article is I'm always quite interested. And to this day, I still read them, and I think it's a good balance to all the claims by all the consultancies and self help gurus that all you need to do is this, that, or the other thing. Well, it never really is quite that way. I think
Mm.
we need to be a little cautious and yet move forward. And so I'm a very much a practitioner, and I like to bring things to practice while being respectful of what's in the background of that. So for instance, just very quickly, I'm much more interested in work engagement than employee engagement. And,
Mm.
and work engagement is really coming out of the Netherlands, Arnold Baker and others, and looks at our vigor, our dedication, our absorption in work. Because we always have work,
Mm.
we may not have employment.
Mm.
We always have work. We may not have employment. So I'm 67. I'm going to turn 68 in about 3 weeks. I'm
Wow.
working, uh, but I may not be employed some of the months that I'm working. But I'm still working and engaged in what I'm doing.
Mm. So you spend a long time researching on work engagement, right? And you say that work
Yes.
engagement is important. Even if we don't have work, we still need to engage. We don't have the employment, we still have different kind of works that we are doing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
help us to understand. What's the fact? Why is that ring a bell on you for 17 years to dive into that work engagement topic though?
Well, whether you're retired or unemployed or employed for the same company for 25 years,
Mm,
work is a big part of our lives. It's what we
mm,
do. Most people, many of my friends are retired, but they're still working. They may
mm,
not be working in an organization, or they may be self-employed, or they may be working half time along the way.
mm,
Um, it's our chance to contribute. It's our chance to experience significance, meaning. Yeah, there are days that are going to feel like drudgery. There are days that are going to be tough.
mm,
Um, but it's part of work is part of being alive,
mm,
and to hate your work or to not engage with your work is to not engage with your life and
mm,
to hate your life.
mm,
Not that work is life, but work is a large part of life. And I think we just need to broaden the understanding of what work means.
so what means to you though in your definition? Can you help us to share
I
that?
Thanks for asking that question. I do have an eight word definition of engagement.
Mm.
Good work done well with others every day.
Then we're
Good
with
work,
other
good
every
work
day.
done well with others every day. Not great work. I'm not a fan of great work at all.
Mm,
I don't think you should strive to be great. I think you should strive to be good, because you can be good every day.
mm,
Great just happens every so often. I
yeah.
like to golf, and now that I'm retired, I can golf a bit more. I probably have 5 great shots a year.
Uh-huh.
A year. Um, but I have lots of good shots. And if I went out golfing expecting to have great shots or trying to have great shots, I'm missing everything. So good is sustainable, and good work done well. It means we bring ourselves to our work, and with others, whether you're an author or self-employed, there's always other people. I couldn't talk to you if people hadn't built this computer,
Mm,
offered Teams network, um, and all. You had parents, I had parents. Uh, and every day is, I think too many people think about engagement as a score, like an
mm,
annual score or something. It isn't. My engagement changes moment to moment.
mm,
Like my engagement in our conversation may change 10 times or 20 times in the time we have together. It's going to change 100 times today. We need to be more attuned to the nuances of engagement. And,
mm,
you know, unfortunately, engagement became a bit of jargon, so sometimes I think the better word may be just connection, just
mm,
a profound connection to our work or to others or to what we're doing.
mm. First, I want to reshare the definition. So, good work done well with others every day, right? And
Yes,
and
yes.
I want to say thank you for sharing the differences between great and good. Okay, being great and being good. And long ago, we went to Singapore for a sales training. So we have a sales expert coming from all over the world to join a training for a company that I used to work for, and everybody was trying to emphasize that they're the best salesperson, in the room, and we I would joke around, best compared to whom, and compared to what, and the next is I asked them this question. So if in the definition of the best, so you're on top of the mountain already, so what next? What's tomorrow? So how can you grow? You grow next is you're gonna jump off the mountain, right? So there's no way other you need to get up and higher than that. So we try to help them to shape the thinking about, instead of being best, now being better every day. Like you said, instead of being great, and the occasion for being great is very few, but then, we can sustainably being good and being better every single day. And in there, that's a thing that you say with others also, right? And so
Yes.
now if work engagement means that we enjoy the work and we enjoy the engagement that we have to work with others, then the notion of employee engagement seems to be in the practice for a very, very long time, but it didn't really work, David. The great resignation happened everywhere now shows that the people are not engaged with themselves, engaged with others, and engaged with work, right? So what's
Yeah.
wrong with everything in your professional opinion, though?
Well, if you go and look, if you search the history
Uh,
of engagement, it really starts with William Kahn, and he wrote about personal engagement. His term was personal engagement, which I like personal engagement too. Personal engagement or work engagement. He didn't say employee engagement.
mm,
The consultancies got a hold of employee engagement and realized you could sell this to organizations, and frankly, a lot of what is talked about as engagement is actually manipulation.
mm,
A lot of the focus right now on employee experience, I think, is a bit shallow. It's like, oh, we as an employer are going to do these things and you will have this experience. Well, no,
mm,
no, you can do things, but I might have a very different experience of it. I might resent that you did that. My coworker might love that you did that.
mm,
Um, we need to teach people how to experience.
mm,
You just don't experience willy nilly. There's a lot of agency and a lot of personal belief, and I really do like that you kind of glommed on to with others. And to go back to your analogy about being at the top of the mountain,
mm.
you don't get to the top of most mountains without having a huge team.
Mhm.
And generally, in that team, you are one of the people helping others to get up that mountain. And if you follow anything like climbing Everest, the big challenge is to get back down.
Mm.
To get back down, you got to get back down. You don't stay up on that mountain. You get back down, and you want to get back down safely with others. But hopefully, your view of the world is now changed because of the view that you had.
Mm. And absolutely, if we get into the top of the mountain, we stay there, nobody gonna remember us anymore.
No, and unfortunately, there's many bodies on the side of Everest that
Mm,
got to the top and didn't get down.
yeah. So and when you say that, I'm not a big fan of employee experience in the as in the overall setting. So it's just too beautiful. It's just too unrealistic also. So like you say, we need to customize it into it's a very individual level, so that this is a definition of experience, and that this same experience works for you will work for might not work for another person, right? So when you say the word teach people how to experience, what do you mean by that, David?
Well, I'm not a Buddhist, but I certainly study Buddhist perspectives, and my own understanding of Buddhism is to be awake and to have
Mm,
direct experience without the language, the concepts, and all the other things. And that's very fleeting and very momentary.
mm,
But to help people have a direct experience of work,
mm,
crafts people who are building things, often they can feel the materials, they can touch it, they can see what's done, and they can point to something after they've worked for a while. I made that. It's a
mm,
lot harder if you work in a retail store or you work on a call center to foster that experience.
mm,
If I reflect in my own life, in some of the jobs that I had, most of the great employee experiences I had were incidental and happened with coworkers, where we laughed about things, we uncovered things, we discovered things, we shared things, we we helped people, we did things. It wasn't something that the organization did by giving us little pins and 20 minutes to do something. It was authentic experiences, and so
mm,
uh, I love I love the word experience.
mm,
I just don't think we're connected. You have to engage in an experience to really have it.
mm,
You can have an experience, but if you don't engage with it, if you don't think about it, if you don't move into it,
mm,
the word you used earlier was dance. We'll
mm.
dance together. Some people just dance and they have no experience of dancing, and other people, they're dancing, and you just know that they're engaged in that experience, and they're having something that other people aren't.
Mm. Yep. It's like a living a body, but it's with the mind of the zombie, right? So you're there, but you're not present. You're not there anymore. You just do the work, get the day pass by, and that's it. Check the clock, and to me, that's not even work. It's worse than not having a job. Sometimes we need to find something for them, meaningful to do. So it makes the work become more interesting and more purposeful for us and fulfilling. So you if we want to help create an environment that employees can have good work experience, okay, and in your research, what do you think that leaders need to start and change now, though?
Well, I mean, certainly, if you're a leader, you have to do it yourself. You're an employee too, and you need to look at your own experiences.
Mm,
I don't think we do enough around education for engagement, education for experience, the benefits of what engagement means for the individual, for their family, for others. Um, I think we just take a lot of that for granted. I
mm,
think, yeah, I haven't said this before, but I think that whole field of employee experience, they take a lot of things for granted that if they do X,
mm,
it will result in Y.
mm.
But if you do X in an organization, it might result in Z or
Mm,
B or double A or C squared.
mm,
It's not a plug and play, you know. Uh, in the old days of engagement, they talked about levers and drivers.
Mm.
Don't pull my lever if I'm an employee, and let me drive my own vehicle.
Mm.
Let me drive my vehicle of work and have a lever. And yes, don't get me wrong. There's things as an organization we need to accomplish.
Mm.
We need sales, or we need productivity, or we need manufacturing, or we need to bring the crops in if we're a farmer. Those things do need to occur. I'm not diminishing that.
Mm.
We this is a little quick aside, but we can find well-being in work.
Mm.
We can find well-being in work itself.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean that you can't meditate, or you can't do yoga, or you can't go swimming, or you can't do all those other things that replenish and refresh you.
Mm.
But if you don't find your well-being in work, and you are spending so much time working, you're setting yourself up for an unhealthy experience of work.
Mm. And with that being said, it's very beautiful the way that you put it into words. And sometimes that we took things for granted, right? And to me, if we can be more grateful for the beings, the having that we are having at the moment, then maybe something that we translate into experience as a negative way for us can be meaningful. It can be a very positive meanings for somebody else that we don't even see in it. So if we can be, inject grateful onto our body, onto our mind, onto our heart, and everything around us, maybe the experience that we once rejected now can be seen again as a different perspective. It can be more colorful and meaningful also. You think that gratefulness and grateful gratitude would be something that can help our pupil to look at work uh, in a more positive experience, though.
If we invite it, not if we request it. Right?
Mm.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not opposed to gratitude and gratefulness, but it seems to me it's turned into a thing.
Yeah.
Like, people are writing books and telling people to be grateful and to have gratitude or whatever. Well, some of it doesn't seem right. Some to me, just to me.
Mm.
Like, I have so much gratitude and gratefulness, and like, I'm so happy to be alive. I almost killed myself as a student pilot, so everything since that day has been on bonus time. Um, but I think we make a mistake of requesting or expecting people to be grateful, as opposed to just extend a gentle and caring invitation.
Ah. So it's exchanging a caring invitation. Instead of telling them to be grateful, now we invite them into the journey and let them have their own experience about that. That's what you think is will work better.
Yeah, an invitation to let them know. You can let them know about what the benefits of gratefulness might be and things like that, and you can give them encouragement. But it's like when I have three children and they're in their 30s now. But when they were little, I would sometimes tell one of my children when they were 4 what to do, and they would just say, "You're not the boss of me." And and, and none of us are the bosses of anyone. We may have a role in leadership, and we may have responsibilities and accountabilities and things like that. But we should be pretty cautious. I think in some ways I like to think of all work as an invitation, and you can decline the invitation, and if you do, there's consequences. So sometimes when I say to people, think of work as being an invitation. Oh, so you think I should just like invite these people to work? You think they're actually going to work? And I said, well, yeah, I think they might. And if they don't, you might need to invite them to leave the organization because they're not willing to make a contribution. My being is full of caring,
Mm.
but don't think that I won't confront you. Don't
Mm.
think that out of the stance of caring for you, I won't put something in front of you and say, hey, you're responsible to do this, and it's not done, and it's having an impact on me and 3 other people. We need to talk about it.
Mm. Then your three children, they are in the age of going to the workforce already, right? And did you and them spend time talking about work experience? sometimes? Share your work with them?
I'm sorry, the signal broke up a little bit for me here.
Ah,
Can you repeat the question?
yes, the question was, your three children, they are in the workforce now, all right? And
Yeah.
you've been doing spending extensive amount of time researching on work experience. So have you ever talked to them about work experience and listened to their response about that?
Oh, absolutely,
Share with
absolutely.
us, share with us.
My 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 oldest child was very gifted in working with autistic
Oh.
children and adults and politicians.
Ah.
It's a weird combination, but so he's doing some very engaging work in working with politicians,
Ah.
helping them. Uh, my middle daughter is a school psychologist. In fact, this is super graduated. She finished her thesis, so she's now actively engaged in the school and helping children learn. And then my younger one is a vagabond, a traveler, lives in Brazil, teaches languages. He can speak Spanish and Portuguese and English, and also plays poker
Mm.
for a bit of a living. So they take their own paths, and I admire each of them for the paths. I've never tried to tell them anything of what they should do or where they should go, and my hope is that they can experience their lives and their work in a way that's fulfilling.
Mm. As long as they can have good work experience, right, and then have a fulfilling life, that's all we care about. That's you want for them, right?
Yeah, and it won't always be good. So that they have the resilience or the courage or
Mm.
the gumption or the fortitude to move through the inevitable struggles that we'll all encounter. I
Mm.
mean, or if you go back to the Buddhism, life is suffering. There will be suffering. There's no doubt about it. It's not all good and sunshine and gummy bears. There's going to be stuff that goes on, and how they meet those setbacks and what they do with them is also key and vital.
Yep. David, your line of work requires a lot of thinking, okay? And that's one thing that my wife and I are doing is to collect how experts are doing their thinking, okay? And so every chance we talk to a person that we think that they spend a lot amount of time on doing something that foster their ability to think deeper, bigger, we want to ask this question: David, how do you create something that can help you to expand your ability to think? Can you share with our audience about that?
Yeah, reading is good.
Reading.
Reading is always good. But not just reading. When I get a hold of a book,
Mm.
I've used crayons. I love crayons. I don't like highlight markers. I use crayons, and I I will color parts of a book.
Mm.
Um, I keep a journal.
Ah.
Every morning I write a little bit of a journal. I don't know if this is going to show up,
It shows.
but
Yep.
I go back and I crayon things. I look for things that stand out. How do I know what I think until I read what I write or hear what I say?
Mm.
One of the most beautiful gifts of my work is because I go around the world speaking.
Mm.
I also learn as I speak. I
Mm.
am not a speaker who knows what I'm going to say
Mm.
until I'm speaking. I mean, I don't get me wrong. There's a topic. Um, I've thought about it for hours and hours and hours. But when I'm on that stage or when I'm in front of people, I hear things at the same time that other people do.
Mm.
Like if some people who do your work, they will say, "I'm going to tell you all the questions I'm going to ask," and I say, "I don't want that
Mm.
because then I'm going to give you some kind of rehearsed answer. I want something that flows, even if it isn't improvisational. At least it has some genuine and authentic flow. It
Mm.
doesn't always work. Biggest failure I ever had in teaching about employee engagement was Singapore. I was brought into a very high level gig in Singapore, if you will, and lots of rigmarole around that. And I was going to spend a whole day, and I was told what people in Singapore would want from me, and I believed the person. And when I got there and interacted with the participants, I determined that wasn't what they actually wanted, and so I changed what I did. And the reason why I failed was because at the end of the day, it's going to do X and you did Y, and so we're disappointed, and rightly so. I'm happy with that failure, because when I went there, I was told they wanted X, and as I engaged with them, no, it seemed to me a more authentic approach would be Y, and I went with that. I've never been invited back. I don't ever expect to be invited back by that group. But that was a good learning experience. So sometimes I have to tell clients when I'm coming, no, I'm not going to say certain things. I'm not going to be completely rehearsed, but I will talk about engagement and work and meaning and how those things go. But it might unfold in very different ways from what we all expected. And sometimes that works beautifully.
Yep.
And sometimes it bombs, but that's part of life.
That's part of life, right? That's part of life. And thanks for sharing that. And as professional speakers, sometimes we sense the audience that we have to be improvised to change the conversation and steer it in the way that we think that can lead into the better outcome of our talk. And it might be different with what the show want us to be, but they're not the one who stand up there and do the performance and do the speech. So well, we have to do what is best for everybody, and if it's perceived that it's not good, it's their job, it's not us. They don't need to be bothered by that.
Yeah, if you go back to speaking, like say when I'm on a stage and there's like 600 people in front of me, that speech is co-created between myself and that audience. Every nod, every eye contact, every smile, every person who gets up and walks out influences what unfolds. Because I want to be completely attuned and engaged. When I'm speaking, that's a time of very high engagement for me personally. But it's not like I know speakers who speak for a day and they can tell you at 10:15 this is what they're going to be saying. I have no clue. I have no clue at 10:15 what I'm going to be saying. But I also will stay true to what the intent of the speech was. If the intent was to help people with well-being, personal well-being and mindfulness in the workplace, it will stay within that realm. I won't start talking about buying stocks or something. But it may divert into different elements of mindfulness or well-being or happiness or whatever, based on our dance.
Our dance, yes. So still staying within the intention, the original intention, right? David, I'm gonna ask you this last question for the conversation of today. All right. So we knew that your past, what you want to do, right? And then we knew the works that you've been doing already. I always excited to know what's next. Okay. So is there anything that exciting that you are doing and you would wanna share with us now so that we can celebrate with you in advance, besides the early happy birthday to you in 3 weeks time? So we want to say happy birthday in advance also.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sitting outside in Winnipeg and I'm surrounded by oak trees. And because it's the beginning of September, I'm hearing crashing all around me as the acorns are falling. Let me just reach over. There are thousands of acorns just falling. And each acorn has the potential of an oak. Each acorn has the potential of an oak. So I have lots of my own acorns. I'm revisiting some things I did in the past. I did a lot of work around burnout back in the 1980s,
Wow.
and it's come again. Burnout is very huge experience for many people. So I'm working on something called the Circle of Caring.
Mm.
It's based on three circles: the circle of self, which is composed of self and non-self elements;
Mm-hmm.
the circle of other, which is relationship or task;
Mm-hmm.
and then the third circle is the circle of caring,
Mm.
which embraces them all. So I think I'll put up a short online course. I also am doing speeches and presentations in various organizations in various places with that.
Mm.
So the circle of caring is very big. And then a little bit of what we were talking about, I want to enrich the view people have of employee experience. I want them to, like I did with engagement
Ah.
for 15 years, I'm trying to do the same with employee experiences to make it a much richer topic for people through education. My preference often is in-person education. I like being in front of a group of people because of that co-creation.
Uh-huh.
The problem with an online course is it's not co-created with the listener.
Ah.
If it's live, it is, but if it's recorded, it's not quite the same. So I'm not as motivated or engaged for some of the online ones, but sometimes people say, David, we would really like to take what you offer and be able to access it at the time that's more convenient with us. So I need to put a little of myself aside and respond to that request of what others have along the way. So some education, and then travel, obviously down to Brazil to see my son.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to get back to Asia and back to India. And I love Turkey. Turkey is one of my favorite countries. So I've got a lot of friends in Turkey that I've worked with on engagement. So I'd like to get back there a bit. So those kind of elements. I have a rule though, and I've been so lucky. I made a rule for myself 15 or 20 years ago when I started to work internationally that I would never go anywhere without being there. And so when I go, like if I was going to Vietnam to give a speech, I would spend probably a week or 2 weeks in Vietnam, even though the speech is only an hour. If I go to Turkey to do a half-day workshop, I sometimes go for 5 days or for 3 weeks. I want to experience where I am. So that also works in with work experience too.
Wow. Dave, thanks a lot for joining to our conversation today and to our sessions and then sharing your stories. So I'm grateful for you to put your time and for you to share the journey of your life and the works that you do. I'm amazed that you did the research on burnout back in the 1980s. So that was like 40 years ago. And now it's a global pandemic on burnouts also. And if the people took it seriously before, if organization took it, uh, took the practice and on burns out seriously long ago, then perhaps the great resignation would not happen. Perhaps the employees already have better work experiences, right? And perhaps the world has been a lot different than it is. The world's still beautiful, but it can be more beautiful, right? So I hope that you can spend a great amount of time on that topic again, and let's see what can be something that can be practical that we can as an individual level we can implement for our life, and then as the group and organizational level we can help organization to recreate work experience for the employees so that everybody go to work happy, go home happy, having happy conversation with their children, who's gonna be, guess what, become the new workers, new employees in the future too. They come to the workforce happy.
Yes.
So thanks Dave a lot for
Thank you for letting me be your 417th acorn.
Yeah,
so
and that will become an oak tree.
you are growing a lot of oaks when you hold 417 conversations. you never know how I mean, you may know about some people directly, but lots of people would never even let you know the influence you had and that you had a big influence. So congratulations on that massive achievement.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. And I'm grateful for the kind words that you're also sharing. So I really appreciate that. And guess what? I hope that you're going to be coming to Vietnam, spending a week in here so that you can have work experience in Vietnam. And I will take you around town, okay?
Oh, I hope to be there. I hope to see you there.
Okay, man. David, thanks a lot, and you have a beautiful day there. Enjoy the oak tree. Enjoy the environment. That's so beautiful. I see all the squirrel also running around back and forth. All the birds also flying in your back. It's so beautiful there. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Okay. Say hello to your family
All
for
right.
us.
Oh, and you to yours.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.